All right, man. Told you something. You know what it is, man. How y'all doing, man? Hope everybody's good. The king is back in the building. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody. All right, look, man. So today's episode, um, I want to shout out somebody. I believe her name is Sarah B. I think that's her name. Uh, she is new to the YouTube space. Um, and she only has 100 subscribers or something like that. But I figured I can platform her to propel her to 1,000 subscribers because we need to get her monetized. She has a very good take on this Kendrick and Drake beef in the court case, and she says some things that I agree with, some things I might not always agree with, but she says a lot of things that I agree with. And I've been watching a little bit of her videos. So we're going to check out her her take on this. You know what I mean? She sounds like she's a little educated. So before we get into that legendary spell, this is Torture Talk. If you like the content, please consider subscribing. If you're new here, let me work for your subscription today. All the beautiful, single, sexy ladies, put one in the chat. All the fellas, y'all know where to find the ones at. Just don't harass them. I don't sell no merch, but I do have content. Absolutely free, but if you want to leave a donation, link is right here on the screen. No more PayPal. They call me the Hidden Gem. 1,300 subscribers or 18,000. And yes, I am the king. King of the North. Let me know what kingdom you from. So look, man, we gonna get into this video. And I want everybody to go subscribe to her. We're gonna help her get to 1,000 subscribers. Let's oh no, cut out real quick. So let's get it, man. Let's go. All right, Sarah. Okay. So one thing I want to recommend, um, if you could turn your phone or whatever your recording device is horizontal like this. You know what I'm saying? Turn it like this instead of like this. Record like this. Because when you record like this, that is the proper aspect ratio for YouTube. And believe it or not, a lot of people will click your video if you record with the aspect ratio like that. When you record like this, a good portion of people, they'll think it's a short. Even though it's a long form video, they'll still think it's a short and they won't click it. So I noticed that when you record, just record it, what they call it, vertical, was it horizontal, vertical. Vertical is like my vertical. That's how I knew what vertical was. And vertical jump, horizontal is across. You know what I'm saying? So horizontal, recording horizontal, landscape mode, vertical. You know what I'm saying? That's what you're recording in. So I think it would open up some more of your real estate too, by the way, and you'll have some things where you can have something in the background or whatever. So I don't know if you're new to this, and I don't want to feel like a mansplaining. I'm sorry, but I'm just recommending. So let's get to it.
Guess who made it to 100 subscribers? Me.
Well, you're probably gonna make it to 1,000, hopefully, by the end of this video, because I know that you have a very good personality, and a lot of people are probably gonna go subscribe. So hopefully they go subscribe. Please go subscribe. Again, I don't know who this person is. I don't want y'all to think I know her. I don't know her. I never met her in my life. I'm just trying to help her get monetized.
Sorry. I'm geeked. And I have to say, per usual, thank you so much. We're going to do a little hand clap because I'm super stoked. Again, every single milestone counts. I'm at the point where, like, people that I engage with on other creators' platform, i.e., Nolan, uh, recognize me, and I'm excited about that. That means the reach is working. I think another important part of this is I'm at this very interesting juncture where I'm not oversharing that I'm doing this, right? Kind of letting the algorithm do what it does, really just showing up and practicing some consistency and being persistent and seeing where it goes. And the fact that we've gotten here, I just got to say that God is good and I appreciate y'all so, so very much. So, without further ado, the reason we are here, uh, we have been talking about Drake, Dot, and UMG, and we are back. We're going to talk a bit more about it. Per usual, I was watching my guy Jay Nolan, and he was talking about UMG's submission or their motion to reject Drake's request regarding the unredacted copy of Kendrick's contract. Y'all know how we do.
Now I want to stop her there. What she said, um, I'm very proud of her being on her journey and being consistent, because most people do this, they're not consistent. They don't do this enough. They want to see the benefits right away, but you don't. You know what I'm saying? I was just telling one of my boys, he's very good at doing he's very good at conversations and he's very good at things, but he's not consistent. And I said, well, you don't if you're gonna make a YouTube channel, if you're just doing it just once a month, that's cool. But understand, you're not gonna make money if you're not dedicated to it. And I'm not saying you have to be it's got to be about making money. I mean, it's always about making money though, but you don't have to dedicate it to be just for money. I'm not saying that. But I think what she's doing is the right thing, letting everything work. See, um, obviously the algorithm put her in my algorithm, and this is how I picked up on her. But I'm very excited to see where she goes from here, because we don't have too many women outside of Moni and the other girl. I can't remember that. She's pretty big though. Outside of Moni, that's in this space that talks about these things, and we need more women over here. You know what I'm saying? At least I need more women over
I am going to be looking at my little iPad notes, and I just ask that y'all keep up with me. And once again, like, yo, just thank you. I feel really good. So I have to say that. Thank you. So yeah, we're going to start with, we understand that the contract, right? And seeing Kendrick's contract is just not a good idea. We all are speculating that it's kind of foul and that Drake is jealous. Like, I'm seeing so many different versions of content where they are insisting that Drake is just whining and he's trying to redeem himself. I do agree to some extent that he is also at the point of just trying to break down Kendrick's reputation to some extent or another, and just really not doing this whole loss thing very well.
here. I agree with what she's saying right here. The thing is, um, it's very difficult to get past this point in Drake's career when it comes to breaking down Kendrick's character. I'm gonna put it to you like this: I think Kendrick Lamar, and it's gonna sound crazy, I think Kendrick Lamar is in such a powerful position. Even if everything was true, people probably wouldn't even care. They'll make excuses for it because, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that that's what they would do. I think the perception of it is, there will be some people hurt, but the perception of this whole thing right now is, Drake is only doing this because he want to get Kendrick back. That's it. But it still wouldn't win the battle. But I understand exactly what she's saying.
But as I've mentioned time and time again, I don't think that Drake's issue is entirely well outlined as far as defamation is concerned, as much as it is a circumstance or a situation of he's just mad that UMG didn't hold him down, didn't make sure that he was good, and he didn't remain the top guy. This idea of his time being up, I think, is making him nervous, but we're going to get into all of that stuff. Um, so going back to the contract sharing, they're letting it be known that it's not a good idea to share this contract. Business wise, it's not a good idea. But I'm going to speak to you guys a little bit from the employment law side of things, right? So when you talk about like salaries, earnings, hours, and bonus structures and that sort of things inside of your employment contracts, this is considered a protected activity. So under the law of employment, you're allowed to have these discussions. So if Kendrick and Drake were actually cool and just having a conversation about their contracts, it's absolutely appropriate, right? I think it's NLRB, which is pretty much National Labor Relations Board. You're allowed to have these discussions because this leans into your right to assemble, right? To make sure that you're being treated fairly and that everybody is in like some sort of consistency and so on. Now we could get into collective bargaining agreements and all that, but it's not particularly necessary in this case. But just to outline the fact that this is something that could happen if Drake and Kendrick were doing that on a personal level, but for Drake to ask for this thing on a personal note or under the guise of a lawsuit, it really doesn't make sense to me, right?
Yeah, it's very difficult for someone to ask for someone's contract when you already know that there's sensitive and private information. It could be a bunch of different things in that contract that people don't want to see, or record labels, especially record labels. You already know that people can use these things as leverage against you. So basically, if Drake sees his contract, now they're saying that this is for the eyes of the lawyers, not Drake, right? I don't understand why Drake would want, which is weird to me, why Drake would want his lawyers to see Kendrick's contract if they're not going to use it in the case. It doesn't make sense. If you just want to see it but you're not going to use it, then why do you need to see it? Like, so, and I'm believing that that's what it is. But if, let's say, if Drake does see, if his lawyers does show him, right, without saying it, Drake can actually use that as leverage, you know what I'm saying, against whatever. Or it could leak. If it leaks out, it gets out. Now everybody sees it. Now other people, like, you never know. Kendrick could be in a shitty deal. Like, he could be in a bad deal. You never know. Or he could be in a great deal. You never know. But I just think it's pointless to even bring this up.
However, I want to say that if Drake were making a claim of a discriminatory nature, then it would be different, right? So I want to be fair or balanced in that point. So if, say myself, right, I am a black female and my class of being black as a minority, being a woman as another minority, is considered a protected class. So if I were to be suing an employer to suggest that they were somehow discriminatory, that I hadn't been receiving the wages I was deserved or what have you, right? I'll give you, as a matter of fact, I'll give you a real example. I had an incident with a previous employer, and the short version of it is this employer had given me a series of tasks that they wanted me to take care of, right? Do this, do that, do this, do that. I proceed to check all of these boxes, and they tell me that they were going to pay me XYZ amount, and I'm going to be due, I believe. So at the time, I want to call it a $5,000 bonus, right? Pretty decent. And however it went, after doing all of these things, there was some fallout that I was having with uh, another chief that was in a relationship with another mid-level manager. And in light of that, there was some pushback on my earnings. And in turn, what I was promised contractually, where I made the fulfillment, I was then cut out, or my increase or my bonus was reduced, and it went to the standard 3%, right? And so this is an example of this is a discriminatory practice. So if I were to make a claim against them, I would then say to the EEOC, or I would say to my lawyer to make this request to the judge, yeah, I would like for you to ask for the bonuses and the contracts for all of my counterparts. And I would explain that I feel that I was done this way because I am of black descendants, or because I am a woman, and that sort of thing. And in this case, I was actually the only black woman in this environment. But that's a long story for another day. But this is an instance in which you can request things like contracts, bonus structures, and earning opportunities and so on, because it makes sense, because I'm making the claim.
Okay. I would love to have a conversation with her about that whole situation. Um, about what happened to her. That's unfortunate. I think that was messed up. What happened? Um, yeah, I think that was unfortunate. Hopefully she did take them to court and receive what she properly deserved. You just shouldn't do a job and then people cut you out, who you are. That's wrong. You know what I'm saying? Now I don't know if Drake can actually use this as being discriminated against. I don't know how Drake would, because when it comes to music, it's not the same. So I'm sure that at one point Drake contract was better than Pusha T's contract. You know what I'm saying? Can Pusha T say he was being discriminated against? I don't think so. Because if Drake is the bigger draw, you would think that Drake would get a better deal. You know what I'm saying? Or truth be told, it's really not about that. When it comes to music, it's very different than when it comes to jobs. See, music, it goes by value and who's who and what's what. You know what I'm saying? And maybe Drake isn't as valuable at this point in his career as he was 10 years ago. So maybe his deal is different from people rise and people fall. That's how it goes. Jay-Z value is much higher than it was when he was first starting out. You get what I'm saying? So I think that when it comes down to discrimination, I don't know if Drake can pull that one off when it comes to that. Because Drake, I mean, he is a black male and Kendrick's a black male. And I don't see how he can flip that into discrimination, but let's keep it going.
That I'm being treated differently because I'm being discriminated against, and circumstantially I am a black female, and I believe that that is part of the reason why I'm being treated this way. I.e., if I was a black man, I don't think that I would be treated this way. If I were a light-skinned man, if I were a white man, I would be treated differently. If I was in a relationship with one of you guys, I would be treated differently, right? So there are instances where this would be acceptable, but again, my purview, the way I understand it, I don't see this, working out. These are two men that were in a rap battle, right? And if anything, arguably, Kendrick would be in a protected class because he is a fully, and I hate to say it that way, but he's a fully black male that could be discriminated against, based on color, right? And that's how that kind of stuff goes. So in essence, I don't see how a judge would see anything differently. But as I said in my previous video, I can see there being a discussion with the judge that the case is dismissed and Drake may have the opportunity to come back to revisit his plight with UMG exclusively, because contractually how they've treated Drake versus how they treat him now might be a different discussion that the judge wants to hear more about. But again, all speculation and just coming from my very inexperienced brain, because music industry stuff is not my thing. But another part,
I will say this. It also depends on how Drake identifies. See, if Drake identifies as black, we don't know how he identified. If he identifies as black, then you have to put him in that class, right? To protect the class. But let's not get hung up on the discriminatory practices between the two, because I don't think that this is that. I don't think that this is that. You know what I'm saying? I think this is more than that. I think this is much more than that. I think this is more of Drake put himself in a position where he feels as though that he should be able to get whatever he wants because he's been doing that. But I have a theory of what I think happened. I have a theory of what I think happened, and I'll explain it in another video.
Part of this conversation that I think is really, really good to talk about is now UMG has kind of come out and said that their $400 million deal and their relationship with Drake, and how his claim that they are after him doesn't make any sense, on the basis that it was like, yo, boy, we own your music. Why would we devalue you if your music and whatever performance value you have directly impacts our bottom line? And so now we have this next discussion where people are talking about whether or not Drake is in a 360 deal. Now, you see my last video. I'm going to link that below, along with Nolan's video about the submission from UMG. We talked about Jay-Z's line where he said, niggas rather work for the man than to work with me. And boy, oh boy, is it looking more and more like bro knew exactly what the fuck he was talking about. So, again, prematurely, but justifiably, people are making this argument about him being in this 360 deal. But
I don't. I don't know if Drake is in a 360 deal. I don't know. I do know that UMG owns a portion of his catalog, but I don't know. I mean, they admitted that openly. I don't know if he's in a 360 deal where he has to tour and he has to do all these things and they own his IP. I mean, it could be. You never know. But there's different ways to skin a cat. And and I agree with what Jay-Z said. I'm not going against Jay-Z, but you got to understand people have different ways of getting rich. It's not just your way. And even people were upset at Jay-Z of the practices he did too. So it's not that he's so innocent in this whole situation. You know what I'm saying? I'll put it to you like this. They all jinky. From Puff to Jay, they all do jinky things. It's really, I mean, would you rather be your own brother who jinked you, or would you rather be a white man who jinked you? Which one? Because Puff did it. Puff did it for years to his what's the name? All of them. Suge, they all was jinky. It's not, I mean, Eric Wright, the dude who ran Easy E, they all. Easy E, I believe it's a contract with Dr. Dre for life. So whatever Dr. Dre does, it's a percentage that Easy E estate gets. I don't know if that's still in play, but I believe so. So I understand what she's saying, and I'm not trying to knock what she's saying. I'm just saying, like, I can't really blame Drake for taking the deals he took, because some people go about it. He's still worth it. I mean, I don't know if he's a billionaire, but he's still, I mean, he's still up there. He's still mega rich. So, I mean, did he really have to go with the other way? He could have just did what he did, but I just wanted to say that.
per usual, we don't know all of that. We haven't seen any of his contract outlines or anything like that. I do think it's wild that bro is talking about drop and give me 50 talking to Kendrick, but sir, you don't own you don't own a big chunk of your music is what's coming to the surface.
I think that's what really bothering Drake, what she just said right there. The fact that he wants to see Kendrick's contract because he want to know if Kendrick owns his music or not. Well, let's just say GNX is Kendrick's. Whatever Kendrick does from here on out, it's his. It's his. Because I believe Kendrick is, he's not signed to Interscope, but I believe he's under Interscope, but he's not. PG Lane is did some dealings with Interscope, and UMG, Interscope is under UMG. That's what it is. I think Drake is under UMG. I think he's with Republic. I'm not sure, or he's with UMG, but he's with one of them. And he has his own label too. I believe Frozen Moments. He has his own label as well. But I don't believe Drake released anything on his label lately. I think he released some things, but I think he wants to see Kendrick contract because what he said in push-ups, he want to see if that's actually true. You know what I'm saying? But if Kendrick paid his way out of his contract, he just made a $500 million. Like when Kendrick said, "Show me your splits, I'll make sure I double back with you." I'm gonna tell you right now, they probably got about the same amount of money right now. If Kendrick may have passed him by now when it comes to like cash, yeah, Kendrick probably got more money than Drake right now. Off of all the things he's doing, like off of all the accolades, and people think that this stuff comes just comes free. Like, and I'm not saying Drake doesn't have endorsements too, but they both do. They both up there. If Drake is ahead of him, it's not by much.
So we're going to call this chapter the Young Money deflection chapter because officially, wholeheartedly, I have a problem with the fact that there's so many instances that they are saying stuff that is actually reflective of their reality. So yeah, we're gonna call this the Young Money deflection, the Young Money mirror, whatever you want to choose it to be, and we're gonna talk about how we just watched Nick go on a rampage, and she's still talking about Meg, calling her broke and all this other stuff. And shortly after it came out, sis might be in arrears, right? Like, and not necessarily in arrears, but in debt and owes for bad contracts and so on and so forth. So I'm like, all right, you looking kind of crazy, and I hope that you not living out this whole I'm a full on hypocrite, and whenever I'm messed up, I'm gonna just say that you got that problem so people look at you instead of looking at me. I thought that it was just a Nick thing, but it's looking like it might be a Young Money thing, right? Because then we got good old, come on, Weezy, I have to call you to the front, sir. He was beefing about this whole Super Bowl thing. Yo, I thought it would have been me. I thought this, I thought that, and blah, blah, blah. And it's all of this conversation because it's New Orleans and blah, 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 and how they made the wrong choice. And then what happens? We go ahead and we see my boy show up and do some shows, and it's like, oh, this is what she was gonna give us at the Super at the Super.
That was great. She was like, this was you gonna give us. That was great. But look, I understand exactly what she's saying. Young Money is old money now. Young Money is not young anymore. And I think that they've been so lackadaisical, lazy, and not really putting the effort into anything that they thought they was riding a high. They was riding a high. They thought that they could not be stopped. No one can tell them anything. They was riding a high. You got to look at it. Lil Wayne is considered to some people as the greatest rapper of all time, right? Then you have Drake, who is a mega crossover pop star, hip hop, whatever you want to call him. I don't call him hip hop, even though I'm just being biased, but kind of gotta say he's hip hop. But crossover pop, and then you have Nicki Minaj, another hip hop pop star. You know what I'm saying? These guys were untouchable at one point. They were untouchable. The problem with them is they hit a ceiling and people just like them. They just like them. If you go back and listen to a lot of their music, it's really not that good. Like, they don't have anything that, to me, that is like, okay, yeah, this is really good. All of their albums are suspect. Like, some of them are classic. Don't get me wrong. Like, Take Care is classic. Nothing Was the Same, I believe, is a classic too. I like Nothing Was the Same. Nicki Minaj, I don't know if she has a classic at all. And then Lil Wayne, of course, obviously the Carter 2, the Carter 3. You know what I'm saying? That's it. And then it's mixtape Wayne. But what she's saying is absolutely true. People showed up. And I think that another thing too, Young Money never grew up with their audience. Their audience is old. We're their audience. But they're still trying to reach out to kids. Like, they're still young. Nikki, you like 50. Like, Wayne is in his 40s, I believe, and Drake is in almost 40. 10 more years, y'all be 50. 20 years, you'll be 60. Like, come on.
Well, bro, like, and it's more of that justification where it's like, yeah, you know what? I don't feel all that confident. I don't feel all that great about this. So I'm going to deflect or create noise around something else. And I thought that that was interesting. But now, we have Drake, the last of the big three of Young Money, and he was talking about. I'm like, yo, you did a whole song about bro splitting until he split his pants. You talking about how he split his money with Date Free and all this other stuff. And I said, you got a $400 million expensive ass credit card, sir. Like, how the fuck? Sorry, potty mouth is coming. How you do all of that smack talking so that it could go full circle and it come to light that, bro, your deal, like, nobody just handed you money, right? But then, like, but we paying attention, right? Jay said it, like, oh, you wanted to look like the man, but you wasn't actually the guy that you was trying to pretend to be. But as long as we believed it, that was good enough, and that's the value of deflection. But
But that she's absolutely right about that. When you are when Drake wasn't like that when he first came into the game. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Drake was an innocent boy. I mean, I'm sure he had some bullshit with him, but when he came into this in the hip hop space, he was, for all intents and purposes, he was untainted. Then he started hanging around real gangsters and people who pretend to be gangsters, and he picked up their habits and their ways and their gestures and stuff like that. Then he started doing things that really is out of pocket. Like, he was a lover boy when he first started. Drake was a lover boy. You the best. You the best. Best I ever. He did songs for girls. That's what he's saying. DMX said that. DMX hated Drake, but he did songs for girls. He was a lover boy. And then he turned into this narcissistic because he started. Because I'm gonna tell y'all right now, this is just my opinion. Drake ain't get no pussy. He ain't get no pussy. He was growing up. Nah. No girl wouldn't even look his way. He ain't get no pussy. You know what I mean? He ain't even have he had a crooked shape up. Like, nobody giving him. When you got crooked shape up, ain't no bitch giving you no pussy. Nah. Bitches don't get niggas crooked shape up pussy. Nah. Yeah, crooked shape up. You know what I'm saying? And the back was crooked. So, you supposed to have that crispy line in the back. That joint was like a 90-degree angle joint. It wasn't no style either, no Gumby, nothing. He just like, no. That's what it was. You know what I'm saying? He had crooked shape up. Niggas ain't, no bitches ain't give you no coochie. Like, no. They like, no, nigga. Got a crooked shape up, nigga. No, I ain't giving you no coochie. So I think that's what it was. He ain't get no coochie. And then once he started getting some, he got some from. And I'm telling you right now, some of the girls he probably was getting some from was top of the line Jones. I'm talking like top of the line Jones. They was doing things that he could never imagine. And he became addicted to it. You know what I'm saying? That's what happened. And that's why I believe he's where he's at today when it comes to his music. You know what I mean? And this is why he can't, like, I'm gonna put it to you like this. When you sleep with so many women and you are famous, it's very difficult for you to settle down with one. Because Drake can probably have any woman he wants. Or at least the ones that are easy to get, I would say. Because some women that, like Holly Berry, ain't giving him the time of the day. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why he would want to mess with her anyway, because she crazy. But I think that you become addicted to that lifestyle. And now no one satisfies you. It's like you are, it's like being in a buffet and everything looks good to you. All the food looks good. Everything is nothing nasty. It's like going in a cereal aisle. You ever notice that cereal never tastes nasty unless you get shredded wheat thins? And I know a lot of people like those too, but still, like, it ain't like they selling okra cereal. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, they selling everything in the cereal aisle is good, from the Count Chocula down to the Reese's peanut butter cup cereal, the 80-day Cheerio, even Cheerios, honey nut Cheerios, like all his cereal was good. That's Drake. He's in the cereal aisle of women. He's like, oh yeah. So that's how he feels. So I understand when you get to that point in your career that he can't stop, because he was a goofball when he first started. He was a goofball. Girl was giving him no coochie. No.
This whole idea of this $400 million expensive ass credit card, right? It made me think about a time that I was talking to, well, not talking to, I had a class. So I went to school for business management and finance back in the day. And I took a corporate finance class. And the one thing that he talked about that I thought was really interesting that stuck with me for a long time was this concept of time value of money. And again, getting into this whole contract or this record deal situation, you realize that there's some people that take their money up front because they need it right then and there. And I think that that's a reality for most of us, right? We all kind of sit in this space of needing it right now because our life is kind of, what do they say, hand to mouth, right? Like we're kind of going at it every single day. We're trying to keep up with it every single day. And what he taught us in this concept of time value of money in this class was that the longer you can hold on to money, the more valuable that money is, right? Like, so $1 in a stock account has more value over time because why? Interest. So the longer you can keep it, the more value it has to you over time. So when you have someone like a Drake, right? They have an opportunity because they have so much liquid, or at least the perception of liquid. They have the opportunity to take this money and make investments, and they can have things like interest off of said investments and live off of that, right? They can have passive earnings from business ventures, like when they buy franchises or they do rental properties, right? It's the ability to have enough liquid, have enough resources that's invested that gives you this passive income that you could kind of live your life as you need to. And of course, the more money you make, and tax write-offs and so on is a completely different thing. But all in all, the gist is to have this ability to have money that sits still and grows for you and works for you, right? Like I said, for people like us, it's a bit more challenging, and I think that we're being a bit harder on Drake because of things like drop and give me 50, right? Like, you have this whole lifestyle, you have this boisterous attitude of what you got, what resources you could burn. It was the thing, he did this whole thing with these jets and whatnot. And so we're not as forgiving or gracious because he's presented himself like this guy that got it all together. And you have all of these people that's like, nah, he's doing great. He's this, he's that. But, we also was talking about, I think Ack was talking about the fact that he was torn because he had to deal with Rock Nation, not Rock Nation, with Live Nation. My bad. And he's on tour because it's like, yeah, you owe us money. You take this advance. Again, these expensive ass credit cards. You take this advance, you got to hold it down. And I will admit that I've met a lot of varieties of people, and I know that Drake money and my money, or our money for that matter, is not the same. This is not me calling him broke by any means, because I can't afford to do that, with all due respect. But I will say that I do know people and have met people that make $300,000 a year and live paycheck to paycheck. I have met people that said, 250 is just not enough, right? Because of the lifestyle that they live. And so the idea of being paycheck to paycheck, I don't think is exclusive by any means. And we've seen it, right? We've seen megastars get rich, go broke, and it's a sensational story. But I think that we discount the reality of how difficult that can be when someone has this explosion of earnings and wealth, and then they have this very, very abrupt, quick halt in earnings and this very devastating fall from grace.
Now, that's a very good point, what she just said. A lot of people do have this sense of a lot of people have this sense of just spending like it's no tomorrow. Do I believe Drake will go broke? No, I believe Drake has enough endorsements and stuff like that. But do I believe he's using certain things to cover some things up? Yes. Um, yeah. So that's the thing. But I'm gonna let y'all finish watching the rest on her page because I don't want to watch her whole video. Make sure y'all go subscribe to her, and if she has a Cash App or anything, please donate to her because I see a couple of her videos and she pops up on my timeline every day. She's working hard, so we're gonna try to help her get to 1,000 subscribers. Yeah, shout out to her, man. She made a lot of good points in this whole thing. Yeah, so I definitely think that at this point in Drake's career, like she said, he does have an expensive credit card that he needs to deal with. But as long as Drake is still breathing, he's going to make money. He's going to he like we gotta understand. He might not have had a number one, but he's still charting. It's very difficult. There's hundreds of thousands of people who make music. And well, maybe he's charting because his fans know him already and stuff like that. But I don't know. Thank y'all for joining me. I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all go subscribe to her channel, like for real. Like I don't like again, I don't know her, but I want to make sure that she gets the proper respect that she deserves because it's gonna get better for her. Shout out to her. All right, I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace. Bye.